Hey everybody, it's your best friend Drew, and I'm going to be covering Wolverine. Used to be a big time star, but now I think he's been put aside, except for the movies. Deadpool and Wolverine was awesome. It is absurd, but a lot of cool action. And today is Saturday, the December 7th, according to my Hans Gruber Nakatomo building advent calendar. And I promised doing a Wolverine story. Promise. Where is my grammar? Okay, Wolverine, people really latched on to him, but it took years. Once they did, it was like wildfire, and there was so much Wolverine everywhere, especially in the 90s. It was Marvel Comics Presents, which was a bi-weekly book. They always stuck a Wolverine feature in there after a few years, because they wanted to guarantee sales. And so he became very ubiquitous, a little everywhere. But I'm going to start right off with this. What's funny is, let me scoot my camera down a touch. There we go. What's funny about this is that I saw this there was a drugstore down in Florida, in Lakeland, Florida. I was visiting an aunt and uncle, and I was real little. I would do it myself. My parents were too. I saw this on the stands, and I saw Daredevil 115, the one where he's on the catwalk with Deathstalker attacking him. And I went with Daredevil because, as neat as that was, the claws kind of scared me. They seemed too real. In other words, comics usually were a lot safer. And then when he came along, as well as Punisher, people said I hadn't seen Punisher till years later. It just seemed, I don't know, I thought it was just kind of mean to have somebody with claws, and it would just creep me out, because that wasn't common back then. That really wasn't. If, to my knowledge, he's the first major character to have those kind of weapons. So it just put me off, and I didn't regret it later. Like, I know people are like, oh, it would have been a great investment and such. I did eventually get a copy of it like later in the 70s, and pretty good, amazingly affordable for what we thought were outrageous prices back then. So I'm going to go through this, show a little bit of what everybody else has seen. There is issue 180 of the Hulk, but I got to show you, first thing is the character design by John Romita, he designed so many things that they don't even talk about, that like Nomad and some of the other characters. So beautiful image, and Trippy went with it, and Jack Abel on the inks did a wonderful job. Him and Trippy were really good together. Okay, and in this, Wolverine is pretty much a straight character. When he talks, I don't want to say like a villain, he talks very clinically. He's like, little man jumps around like Big Rabbit, like a Wolverine, if you don't mind. And I've got, like Wolverine, I've got claws forged of diamond hard adamantium and the power to back them up. So now, even though the claws are going on, there's no blood anywhere. It's not really, which really struck me as weird, because how do you take somebody out like that without, both of them basically had impregnable hides. So I don't get it, but it's like you kind of went with it because you didn't want to know. You didn't want to see his guts all over the place back then. But later on, Peter David, when he and Todd McFarlane did that issue of Hulk, where Wolverine and Hulk, they got mixed up in it again. It turned out that he was gutting Hulk, and he was dripping like green blood, but he had this huge healing factor. But I don't know if that's stated or not. And his healing factor, the Wolverine's, was not mentioned until several years into the X-Men publications. So, I love that fall. That is, I don't think I've ever seen that kind of panel image before. The pose, beautiful. So I did have this issue. Only one issue that said the world's strongest moral. I always thought that was kind of cool to keep on, but nobody cares. So then you see basically 1.5 pages of Wolverine, and so There's his debut. So much stuff to go through. Oh boy, where do I start? I'm probably going to jump into the Giant Size X-Men Omnibus. One of the early, I think the first publication of it, the first, give me a second. I got this for $40 around about 2009 down at MegaCon, and that's a steal because look at that, it's like 1,000 pages, give or take through. I'll be writing more in a week or two. Here is, jumping ahead. Here's the cool thing. I didn't know anything about Wolverine until several issues into the regular series. I came across this much later in a coverless form. So here's the first appearance. This is, let me think. That Hulk was in like November of 74. This came out in May of 75. So, half a year or so. And so I had my first issue of X-Men, the new X-Men, was much later, and I can't figure out why, because I was at my local comic. I mean, you didn't have a local comic shop unless you wanted to go all the way to Ides, which was in Etna, Pennsylvania, and then later downtown Atlanta. We're still around. But there was, back then, there was a drugstore, there was Kroger, there was Woolworths, there was a porn shop that actually had like legitimate publications in the front with a little door sealing off the stuff in the back, as well as, Stop and Go, yeah. So I was hitting it all the time, checking out stuff. And I missed a bunch of the X-Men. I don't know if it was a distribution accident or maybe people were thinking of investing, because I'd heard that Conan #1 was actually hoarded, as well as New Gods #1 by Kirby by speculators. And this is my first issue, all the way up issue 98, and this just blew me away. Look at that! Look at all that going on. The Sentinels are back. My first issue. And I'm going to jump back. Like anybody who had been reading the series, they see, if they have this issue, that is, unlike a long, prolonged story where Professor X has to either rescue or, spend a lot of time recruiting, I guess. Wolverine's just there, and I'm the bigwig Wolverine, Professor Charles Xavier, at your service. Am I supposed to be impressed? Apparently the top brass is impressed, Wolverine. All I know is that the professor is here to make some sort of offer. An offer, eh? Okay. You've piqued my curiosity. What's the deal? I'll come straight to the point. I know of your recent battle of the Hulk, and moreover, I know of your powers. You, my friend, are mutant, and I have need of mutants. Desperate need. But what about my position here? I'm offering you a chance to become a free agent, to learn to use your powers to the greatest use. A chance to get out from under the the red tape and rigmarole, huh? You found your man. Hey, not so fast. The government's invested a great deal of money into you. Blah, blah, blah. You try walking out, and you get my meaning, friend. It's still a free country, isn't it? I'm signing effective immediately. Slices the tie off. So he heads out. And then we get, Storm, which is amazing. She's worshipped as a goddess because she can control the weather. That's totally understandable. It's just a trip. I can't even imagine. Also, if I could control the weather, it's like with Thor, and I'm being this is cynical me. If I had both her powers and Thor's powers, I'd probably spend more time like helping, starved nations and places that have other floods and such, but that's just me being a wise ass. I shouldn't have gone off that tangent. I don't want to kill the buzz. It's a great book. Okay, here they all show up. A little preface here. Dave Cockrum designed Colossus Storms. Whoa, holy washout. Colossus Storms. What is his name? I can't think of his name. I know his name's Proud Star, but it is also, I'll look it up later, Thunderbird, that's it. And he designed Nightcrawler. And some of these were intended for the Legion of Superheroes back when Cockrum was doing the art on it. And he had designs intended for they were prelims that he had ready. Nightcrawler he had going, and he originally thought, I think maybe, that he was going to be a demon. Banshee and Sunfire are old X-Men foes, and I loved that they were in there. And I kind of was bummed that Sunfire left so early. And there's Wolverine way in the back. About Wolverine, it's interesting how there's that whole. Even I was getting mixed up in it too, where Roy Thomas was taking credit for in the Wolverine movie for co-creating Wolverine. But let's not touch that anymore. I just got it out of the way, okay? Only to say that Roy wanted a Canadian character named Wolverine. That was about it. But the thing is interesting is Len Wein created these other co-created the other characters and gave them distinct voices. You know, he was a Russian, and she's from Africa, and he's a Native American, and he's from Germany, and also Roy Thomas was being asked by some higher up, like, "Hey, why don't we get some international appeal?" But it's funny because the countries they chose aren't necessarily. I mean, they might have had some others in mind. Like Italy or Spain or what do you call it, Middle East, whatever. So anyway. The other thing was Len Wein, when he started out, he got Wolverine on board. I don't know if that was his idea or Roy's. Len only did this issue, and then 2 issues later, which were supposed to be Giant Size X-Men 2, which ended up being the first issues of the relaunched series. Well, Wolverine was supposed to be a teenager originally. That's how Len Wein thought of him. He thought, he's a hothead teenager. And originally, I think it was Roy or somebody decided, maybe he was somebody said maybe he should be an actual Wolverine that got basically got turned into a human being, and then that got shot down. I don't know which person, but I'm just throwing out the facts here, without any finger pointing, like Sunfire. And he gave real cool eyes on Sunfire, because before that he had these real cheesy ones. Cyclops' goggle redesign, oh my god, it's so cool. So I'm going to move around. He's got to rescue the old X-Men. A lot of people know this. I'm just trying to highlight how little Wolverine, what do you call, not overtures, but just how little he's used. I can't see. I like your taste of vacation spots, Summers. 'Tis a pleasure to be working with you, laddie. Whoopee. And no. So Banshee and Wolverine says, "I'm gonna claws my own. Just like these juicy crabs. I brought the lemons. I brought the drawn butter." So he gets, rips those up. And here comes a crocodile. Man, such beautiful Cockrum stuff. Good lord. Well, you lily livers want to scatter, that's swell, but Wolverine's going out for blood. So I'm going to jump ahead. So here's an interesting thing. Len Wein was the plotter editor, and he left to stay on some other books, and Chris Claremont took over. He was basically the scripter on this one, and then he took over. But it was a 2-part story that was supposed to be Giant Size X-Men 2, but the actual Giant Size X-Men 2 was a reprint of the Roy Thomas, Neil Adams era, inked by Bob McLeod, who's fairly new at the time, and already he's fantastic. It's like already, I mentioned him before for that reason. That's the goggles, that the cool eyes that Cockrum gave Sunfire. So they're trying to figure out what to do now. He goes, spare us a soap opera, huh? Well, I'm going to slam. Try it. I never carved up an icicle before. And later on, they fight the Unholy Three, who first appeared in Daredevil. Here we go. Yeah, they were in. How about that? Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. So, man, that's such a great image. It's a kind of a Rush Gilkane cover. It's kind of, I don't know what it is. It's very odd, but maybe some team books he did great stuff on. Some people, sometimes he didn't. But Gilkane was like pretty much a home run most of the time. So they fight the Unholy Three, which were old Daredevil foes. which you know me, I'm a big Daredevil fan, but if he could take them out, what the X-Men should take them out in as much time as it says. And you had the Ape Man, and you had the Cat Man, not to be confused with Peter Criss, and you had the Bird Man. Really, really original, but they were fun characters designed by Wally Wood for a simpler time with Daredevil, which was just a lot of fun. Anyway, Wolverine's having a scuff with him and gets knocked back. You think it's just a hotshot because you're in the middle claws. Well, my claws aren't fake; they're real, and I can kill. And Colossus saves Wolverine. And that's just, in hindsight, that's hilarious. I mean, at the time, in the 70s, you didn't think of mainstream comic books as cutting edge, or at the time, not even dark, thankfully, and because I don't know how to explain it, but at the time it was a fairly simpler time. There was a lot of crap in the news, things were getting uglier, but comics were still pretty mainstream. Superhero ones were pretty much untouched by that sort of stuff, except if there was a plot device. In other words, these characters aren't gonna gore somebody. I mean, you didn't have gore and extreme violence and torture and stuff like that in comics. It was much later that it made sense that Wolverine, he would chop up somebody with his claws. So he gets taken out by the Cat Man. I'm trying to resist singing Carole King, when the Cat Man's testifying. Man, I sing so good, don't I? Are you hurt, my friend? You just made me mad. And baby, Wolverine just loves to get mad. Well, Aurora shuts him down. Nightcrawler laughs. So we're seeing he's a hothead, and Ween had planned him to be a teenager. I love that scratching tic-tac-toe on the table. That's hilarious. And there's this demon. And Wolverine steps in. Nobody beats on Wolverine's buddies. And this is the first time we really get to see Wolverine cut loose. 10 years of psycho training and hypnotism and drug therapy. 10 years of praying. And cut him to pieces without a thought. Nothing changes, Professor. I thought I'd learned how to control myself. I guess I was wrong. And you want to know something that's funny? I'm glad. But then something else happens. And he gets these funny faces that you just don't associate with Wolverine. He's like, ooh. And it's like his little fins on his head droop a little bit. It's so bizarre. And get this, okay. It's just between you and me, okay, everybody? Okay. Issue 97. Wolverine does not rate the cover. I need to go back a second. And he doesn't rate... Oh, there he is. Okay, well, he gets a little bit of prominence there. And on... At the end of this entire issue, Wolverine just shows up. Again, he's like the smallest character on the cover, or the splash page. Beautiful designs. Oh my gosh, I love these designs. That Cocker was just such a genius. So, you really don't see Wolverine. He's not anywhere to be found. Attic the Red, originally designed by Steranko, and I think this is a new player's costume that Cocker designed. I love it. It's magnificent. So we're going on and on with the story. Hang in there. I have a point. I have a payoff. And a point. We don't see our pal Wolverine anywhere. We see a lot of Nightcrawler and Colossus, who are his favorites, and Storm, of course. That's a great page there. Hey, anybody named Wolverine around here? All of a sudden... What are you doing, boss man? You got a clear shot. Blast him, man. Get away, blast him. What's the matter? Are you gutless or something? Wolverine, shut up. You one-eyed son of a... I'm going to cut you wide open. And Storm stops him. As you see later on, that she does sort of have this bearing about her that does touch Wolverine in a certain way that he calms down. It's hard to explain, but it's just how they really... But Wolverine wasn't even the whole issue. He shows up at the end just to be, that character is gonna, piss and moan. Wolverine's way in the back there. Love this. Look at that whiteout. You do dry brush. You don't use like complete whiteout. You dip it in the whiteout. You kind of run it off on slap it on some piece of paper. They call them scratch pads, but just a piece of paper that you tape to your table. And then what I would do in this case, if I were it's an old trick where you take the dry brush, you make sure that almost all the white is off of it, and then you add that. And it can also be accomplished with a razor blade where you scratch, but at an angle like that, you're better off with whiteout. So this is my first issue, A White Christmas. And Wolverine, first appearance without the mask. What about you, Wolverine? What about me, Miss Gray? I got no use for Christmas. Oh well, have a nice time anyway. I like how the hair goes right to his between his eyes, but that's all right. He's still a badass looking dude, but that's he established the look. Very Neil Adams without being derivative. Beautiful, beautiful. And I even knew who the Sentinels were because I was buying X-Men when it was all reprint book, and I saw the Sentinels. Hold on a second. Fantastic stuff going on. And here comes Wolverine. It's like if there's a fight brewing, Wolverine's going to be in on it. Whoa! Hang on a minute. Sam Gringer on the inks, by the way. Wow. He brought her into the book and made her so spectacular, so quick. Love that. And Wolverine's claws pop out of his hands. And people were kind of surprised. It's like, he's not human. Slaps Jean Grey. That tears it. And he takes down Sentinel. What's weird, though, it was like a big deal that his claws came out, but he was called a mutant, but there was no other reason for him to be assumed to be a mutant. Like his healing powers weren't revealed till years later. But in the end, who cares? It's a terrific read. It's terrific stuff going on. She can't get her gown loose, so he rips it. And not very chivalrous, but that's how Wolverine was at the time. One thing I never understood is how can Banshee fly with his Banshee scream that makes him fly, plus talk? That just makes no sense. And again, he's like third person out, and it's mostly because Jean Grey was established way before him. Frank Chiamonte, he did some good stuff, and all of a sudden, X-Men 100. Oh, this was like the most fantastic comic ever when it came out that month. I mean, we're talking mainstream superheroes. It's just so, oh my gosh. And you have the history too. You have the old and the new. And that wasn't very common. You saw it once or twice with the Avengers. You saw the cover to Avengers Annual number 2, which had the old Avengers fighting the new Avengers. And then you had the one, issue 53 or 55, where they fought the X-Men. They did side by side. Where Carmen Infantino was doing that sort of thing on a regular basis for DC. You didn't see it a lot in Marvel at the time. And this cover's been redone a million times for by other artists for covers for special editions and such. So Dave's doing the pencils and inks. It's a bi-monthly book, by the way. Man, oh man. Wow. And right away, heads up, midget. But that was the times. Not excusing. It's just that's the way it goes. That's how it appeared in print, and you'll be put on ice permanently. Adol grabs it, makes it pretty effortless. But here we go, the first fastball special. Man, that's great. Then, just like we did in the Danger Room, the fastball special. And that was exciting. It's like, wow. Wolverine guts this robot because he thought it was Jean Grey messing with his mind. And he's using his instincts, his senses. She got it backwards, see? I'm like an animal. I don't know faces. I know from sense, voices, feelings, but I also know Jean Grey. Lady, whatever you are, you ain't Jean Grey. And that's I know I blew it, but it's like a lot of this stuff you've read already. I'm just trying to emphasize how Wolverine was starting to get more. They were starting to, Claremont specifically, since Ween sort of pushed Wolverine off side, minimized him. Claremont's trying to bring him in more. Wolverine's like, "Don't fly this plane. You'll die." And she straightens him out. She's like, "I made the effort." What do you say? Actually, let me quote it. "The name is Jean, mister, and I've about had it with you. I've tried to like you, Wolverine, obnoxious little upstart that you are, but for the life of me, I don't know why I made the effort. Now shut your mouth and get into the life cell now before I lose my temper." And they're like saying goodbye to Jean because she's going to die, at least they think. Another mind-blowing thing. This was just so... The very first appearance of Phoenix, you didn't know what was going to happen. You figured she's going to die or something. Going to jump ahead because there's a lot of... already I'm 25 minutes into this, and I even built up to where Wolverine gets more screen time. He shows up with flowers to visit, Jean in the hospital, and the others are there. And he says, take time off, blah, 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 go on this vacation. So they go to Ireland, this old place that is owned by Banshee's family. But Juggernaut and Kane Marco are there. And no, Black Tom Cassidy. He is kin to Banshee. I don't know if they're brothers or cousins. He gets goofed on. He goes, "Why do you have to look like a stable hand?" Anyway, I happen to be the lord of the manor. I get to come to dinner dressed however I please. So, this will be your tomb. No. Really cool. Is there any Wolverine on this cover? No. Don't be ridiculous. Oh, man, it's so dynamic. At this time, Marvel just had they had the corner on exciting superhero stuff. You had Dave Cockrum, you had John Byrne, you had George Perez, just really exciting superhero artists. He's like, there's Colossus, does a variation on Fastball Special, sorta. And Colossus gets taken down. Here comes the adamantium claws. But almost off panel, he gets knocked aside. It's like, how indignant. So she has this claustrophobia from when she was a child, nearly died. That's why she's upset. And I love that background. It's just really rich. And that wasn't even something that was proposed from, Len Wein. It was just something Claremont came up with. And it's so bizarre. It's so hilarious. Okay, jump still, you jackrabbit. And he swats Wolverine just half-heartedly. Goodbye. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But, here again you see Dave Cockrum favoring Nightcrawler more than any. He's entitled to it. Oh, my aching back. I tell you, Bob, that broad's gone flaky. I mean, look at her. She is very happy, Wolverine, and do not call her a broad again, Shorty. Love this part. Get these big boots off of me, and Colossus can't, but Storm does because she was a thief and a pickpocket. And that's another thing that's kind of gone by the wayside. That was great. He's like, where's she going to go? For crying out loud, lady, you're supposed to... He calls her a broad. You dumb broad. Wolverine, I told you never call him a broad again. Her a broad again. I meant it. Happy landings. So it's so funny because then after that, where's Wolverine? It's shown that he's being tossed up to the castle. Okay. My correction, he landed on the wrong side of the castle, which I love. And this elf is there. There's a bunch of elves in this story, which is bizarre. I think I can help you there, Mr. Logan. Huh? Who are you? How do you know my name? And he takes off. So that was the first thing. He's like, he's got a name, Logan. And here we go. Now we get Wolverine up in front. Oh my god, it's so badass. And what I really, really enjoy about this more than the obvious is Dave Cockrum at the time aside from being a really good, magnificent storyteller, designer, and such, this first X-Men run that he did had a lot of like sharp black spotting, that I really enjoyed. Just real bold, like black inks. And when he came back after Byrne left, it was exciting, but he didn't do as much. He did more. There was more feathery stuff, and it's good. But this just is so bold and contributes so much weight. There's the floppy ear. Well, that's kind of funny in hindsight. Magneto, super badass, man. Oof. I cannot express how magnificent this was to buy it as it came out. Wolverine's claws get taken. That's perfectly legitimate to take him out early, because that's him and Colossus. They get tossed around like rags. Like rags. Mm-hmm. The use of whiteout around here is really great. Ugh. So many things. I mean, he had flitted around several different books after the X-Men, and they were pretty much all inferior. But now he's back to greatness. This fight ain't over as far as we're concerned. Yeah, says who? I'm the leader. And he's giving Cyclops shit about, all I know is you make us turn tail and run. Phoenix is actually in control of herself. She's not. It just wasn't a one-time thing with issue 101. And where's Wolverine? Nowhere. So anyway, in the back, Bob Layton on the inks. I forgot about that. Babyface Bob Layton. Fire Lord. And of course he gets zapped. I'll put Wolverine, poor man. Jumping ahead. It just got more magnificent. It was a bi-monthly book, so I could see why, because Cocker was putting so much love and nuances and touches, and he got the whole friggin' Starjammers, and he's got the Imperial Guard, which were based on the Legion of Superheroes. It's beautiful. And there it is. And you know what? I wasn't even a DC fan at the time, but I sort of caught on with more time. Like, this guy is basically a chameleon boy, and he's Colossal Boy. And so Cockrum had all these new designs on top of everything else. And Wolverine gets fried by, what's his name? Something or other. He's basically, there's a fire boy or something like that. He grabs her, tosses them into each other. They see Fang, who is a Timberwolf. Wolverine is a target fella. It looks like you're elected. So then he shows up with Fang's threads. And let me see what else. Oh, there he is. Not bad, folks. I've had some heavy stomping in my time, but this takes the cake. Now we get into John Byrne. I'll tell you what, I was so put off because another Wolverine-less cover. It's hard to imagine in this day and age. So you have this great issue 107 with all the characters, and then you go into John Byrne, and what I really hated about it, this first page is the complete opposite of the previous issue's first page, where it was drawing you in. Now everything is so far apart. I remember being really pissed that Cockrum didn't do this issue, but Byrne and Austin won me over fairly quick. In fact, it was one of those things that was kind of sneaky. I didn't even realize I was enjoying it. I was just following the story. But there's a fun little touch here. This little imp comes down. I ain't gonna hurt the little fella much, that's for sure. Pow. This is Wolverine flying. Now, I wouldn't call that like diminishing Wolverine. It's a fun moment. My friends, we were home, and between the time he got nailed, you hadn't seen him until now the book was over. And now, finally, some time on Wolverine. And I think a lot of that had to do with John Byrne, because John Byrne really saw the potential in Wolverine. Chris Claremont was already on board. And as I said, Cockrum really was disinterested in him. He was more into those three that he had designed. So this came along, and this is when I was like, hey, this Byrne guy, he's not bad. He'll do until Cockrum comes back. I used to have that for a few. I had that with Invaders also. I loved Frank Robbins on Invaders, and then when he left and Alan Kupperberg filled in, took over, I kept thinking, oh, maybe Frank will come back. I didn't appreciate him till then. So, blah, 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 blah. So, goes back to his conventional costume. Oh, by the way, between this was an issue of Iron Fist, number 15, the very last issue, where it had the X-Men guest star, and Wolverine still had the Fang costume. And one thing that was kind of annoying was that John Byrne's Wolverine faces were redrawn by Cockrum to keep him, I don't know, I guess we considered on model or something, even though he was not going to touch the character again. So, he's going hunting. You would take the lives of innocent animals, not for survival, but merely for sport. Even if I would, Broad, what flaming business is yours? Business of the is yours. I said hunting, honey bunch. I said nothing about killing. It takes no skill to kill. What takes skill is sneaking up close to a skittish doe to touch her. I misjudged you. I could care less. Roro, you've been misjudging me since the day I joined this turkey outfit. And we got a lot of backstory about Weapon X, Alpha Flight, everything. Man. So, what's his name? Captain Canuck. Vindicator, he takes off. Using his brilliant effect, it's actually... What does he do? He has a thing where he can actually... Hang on, everybody. Hang on, we're all in this together. He can transport himself by letting the world revolve around him. He thinks the world revolves around him? Yeah, he does. Here comes Wolverine. Just saying, there's more stuff coming. A fill-in issue that's kind of banged out. Where is that Wolverine guy? Finally he gets on here. Just an amazing friggin' cover. And I think it's one of the early ones Austin's inked over Cockrum, but here we go. We're going to delve deep into this. They're circus characters, known as freaks back then, they called them. And Wolverine was the mad beast from the Yukon. And it wasn't quite a misinterpretation. So this is the first time we really saw like an ugly, hairy, smelly looking Wolverine. Okay, Sink Canary, before I count to 5 and pop my claws, you're bluffing. 1, 4, 5. I'll dark. He busts in. 2 of them don't know who he is. Takes out Cyclops. Smacks her a few times to get her, to get Jean worked up and get out of her mesmero spell that mesmerized her. So she's like, I'm sorry, you all right? Shoot, lady, you pack a mean zap. Now on sale monthly, and this is a very rare George Perez cover. Pretty cool. Wolverine in the front. So yeah, it's monthly because Byrne he did 2 monthlies at least at this time going on. He was in Avengers, just a lot of stuff. Magneto. Takes him on an asteroid where they can't. They're out of space, so they can't get out of this HQ, I guess you would call it. And again, it makes sense. But he puts the claws back and let him knock himself out because he's got evil friggin' plans for him. Oh, goodness me! Did I even show that last? Hold on a second. I apologize. It's just so much goodness here. I should have been. That's another one. It's like. Can you imagine having the Dave Cockrum piece and the John Byrne piece next to each other? I mean, I know that's costs more than the average, house. So, get a little bit of action going in there. Wolverine snags him, gets tossed. I mean, Wolverine actually is kind of useless against Magneto. But they get separated. 2 of the parties believe the other... one party believes the other is dead. The main characters go to the Savage Land. Let me see. Give me a sec. Yeah, Byrne starts doing covers, and then later on, Cockrum comes back for a bit. Fastball special, baby. Now, bear in mind, Wolverine does not have his own title yet, and he first appeared in late '74. And let me see what year this is. If I can't remember if they keep the indicia or not. No, they don't. But it says 35 cents, so we're going on 1978, and a bi-monthly book at that. So we're seeing a lot less. But Byrne's bringing it. He's like, hey, I want to do more of this guy, and they're trying to collect themselves after the ordeal of going from Magneto's headquarters to Savage Land. I remember I was at where was it? The Monroeville newsstand, the one I told you had the porno shop in the back, but in the front it had like legitimate novels, magazines, Time magazine, that kind of stuff, and comics. I was there, and a friend of mine from school, Joe McDonough, was there, and we were just shocked at what a hairy bastard he turned into there. Not Joey, but this guy. It's just so you just didn't see that in a lot of comics. But it made perfect sense for Wolverine. See? Wolverine getting some love. I'm going to zip it by. Kazar, or Kazar. I always mispronunciate that. Oh, well. Elf, you just pushed a magic button. Choose your snowdrift, bub. The loser takes the beer. Buys the beer. And that was the thing they had ongoing when they would be out in the woods playing hide and seek. Comes a bunch of animals. Here comes Zabu, the Sabretooth. It's growling. Come here, Zabu. You and me are going to have words. Don't snarl at me. We got to be sneaky down there, and you're about as inconspicuous as a Mack truck. So listen, Tonga doesn't know what's happening. He thinks the X-Men are on their way home. You head for this village and bring him and his warriors here pronto. That's some cat. He's got more smarts than most people I know. I can't argue with that, like, personally. Wolverine, what are you really talking to the tiger? Yep. Wolverine, there's truly more to you than meets the eye. At my size, babe, it ain't that hard. So he sneaks up on a sentry, and he goes, no, I'll take care of it. This guy's mine. Snicked, mein Gott. He's like the great cats of the Welt. Whenever he strikes, there's no mercy in him. It's like you were just complimenting him a minute ago. So, and then also this lizard grabs his mouth, gets a mouthful of adamantium claws. Dang, that sounds like it hurts. Okay, la 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 la. I know I'm jumping ahead, but I mean, like I said, now we're 43 minutes. The Submergence of Japan. And we have a Dave Cockrum cover where Wolverine does not appear. Isn't that wacky? It's like he's coming out. He's like this breakout character, and it's like Cockrum couldn't give a shit. So, in Japan, Wolverine says, this paper says most everyone is evacuated. What? Why? Early warning of a big quake. An earthquake without pre or aftershocks doesn't make sense. Look, bub, all I know is what I read in the papers. You read Japanese? Yep. I didn't know. You didn't ask. So he gets, all of a sudden, we're getting a real nice complex, we're getting more and more depth with Wolverine. And it's exciting. Like I said, Wolverine didn't even have his own book. I don't think he wasn't in any Marvel team-ups until well after this, and never was in Marvel 2-in-1. So watching the evolution of this character and the mystery behind him was real exciting. Now, I have a big problem with 2000's Origin book that came out that basically spelled out Wolverine's entire origin. I think it was written by Paul Jenkins and Bill Jemas, and then drawn by one of the Kuberts. And I hated it because it's like, you want some mystery. And it took, after, even when Barry Windsor Smith did Weapon X, he still left mysteries in there. He just sort of covered the time that he was being held by those wily Canadians. There, okay. I don't want to do that. And I do recycle these. Like I said, I reuse them, so I'm not cutting a whole tree down for just one episode. I'm trying to, let me pull back because I'm kind of just being distracting with these things. There, and okay, almost. All right, much better. Well, they're in Japan. He's wandering around. I was a punk kid last time I was in Japan. I didn't figure if I ever coming back. I should stay in this savage land. I got no use for civilization. I want to cut loose every time I fight, but I got to hold back. Oh, someone's in the garden. I better. Wow. Is someone out there? Oh. Who are you? And what do you want here? Don't be frightened, please. I mean no harm. Easy, fella. Don't spook her. I thought the garden was empty. I like gardens and I like solitude. I'm sorry I scared you. Oh no, the fault is mine. I'm only a girl. I haven't the courage of my cousin, samurai cousin, Shiro. You speak Japanese very well for an American. I had good teachers. I'm not American, though. I'm Canadian. I'm one of the X-Men. Shiro has spoken often of you with much respect. It's like I'm called Wolverine. Lord, she's beautiful. Is that a name? Not really, but my friends call me Lo. And before he releases the name Logan, which we've learned about, issues ago. There we go. This is a... Whoa, easy now. That's kind of overly sticky. Whew. Careful there. I could have broke a lot of hearts, and especially my Bob Budiansky doing a rare cover here. He was one of those up-and-comers who eventually went on, made Ghost Rider fantastic after a long, dry spell. Ooh-wee. Okay. These are the fresh ones I don't reuse. Here we go. Alpha Flight shows up. I like the X-Men. I will miss them, especially... Who's outside? A white chrysanthemum? Oh... what is this? A little gift from a friend. Something to remember him by. It is very beautiful, Wolverine-san, and so are you. Mariko-chan, my name is Logan. Be seeing you. Just perfect. You're getting little bits of his background. Easy. Wow, this is a different batch I shouldn't have used. But I had this on this book for so long. So anyway, Alpha Flight shows up. Basically, they want their property back, a.k.a. Logan. Let's see. I'm going to jump ahead several issues. I want to show you some more stuff. I want to see if more covers do not have him. Up there. See? Although this is situational. I can understand just having two characters on that cover. I miss covers that actually show you what's going on in the book. Beautiful George Perez annual. Ooh. And no Wolverine. He doesn't get any respect. That's a nice Cochran cover there. And you know what? Actually, after issue 119 or 120, I quit for a while. For some reason, I wasn't into Alpha Flight, and then this era is sort of the Wilderness era. It had Arcane and stuff like that, but I tapped out for a while. It just didn't really grab me. And I didn't come back for a while. I think I got this sporadically. I thought, well, this is kind of cool. And so I'm going to jump ahead. I kind of came along with, of all things, oh yeah, this was when I started, a White Queen. I had read 130. I think a friend or my cousin had it, and it was intriguing enough for me to jump into it. Just amazing stuff. Later on, we see Super Harry Logan again, and here's where things get even more ugly, like a new high or low, depending on how you look at it, with Logan. Sucker, you just made the biggest mistake of your life, and the last. For this volume, that covers, the emergence of Wolverine as a badass. Still no individual issue, and still no team-up book. It's still no, there wasn't 5 books that had Wolverine guest starring. A little side note here. This is very silly, but when I was a kid, where did that Hulk go? Oh, there we go. When I was a kid, I thought there must have been some connection between him and the cat who became Hellcat, who was Patsy Walker, because they had similar masks. I think Romita Sr. designed both of them. So, both have like that little bit of whiskers there. But I'm silly. I'm still silly. I'm proud to be silly. Or I wouldn't have this channel. Okay, classic run. Yeah, you could read this endlessly as I have and never get tired. Here we go. Wolverine's barely on there, but that's okay. Winner of 5 Eagle Awards, which was a British award for comics. Just, oh my gosh, such an excellent book. They're going to Hellfire Club, and meanwhile, Nightcrawler and Wolverine are in the underbelly. I love the coloring too. He slashes some wires. He goes, relax, Elf. All I did was strip the insulation off these power lines. When the water hits them, they'll short out, probably blow every light in the club. If something goes wrong tonight, a surprise blackout can come in handy. Yes. Okay, and it is time for the Hellfire Club thing to get going on. Let's see. What I mean is they get it on, baby. They start kicking each other's ass. Wolverine cuts off the arm, which happens to be a robot. He's part cyborg. And, you know, getting those looks from that we're starting to associate John Byrne with and in later artists. But John Byrne established that look. This guy's Harry Leland. I accept your challenge. And his power is that he can increase a person's mass simply by concentrating. I increase the mass of objects and people around me. Must weigh tons. He's making me heavier all the time. And he goes through the floor into the sewer. I hope we get to see a cool page of that. Oh yes, indeed. The iconic. This nailed Wolverine as the hottest character of that year onward. I think it was 1980. But yeah, after he got, he fell several floors to the sewer. This is the defining panel. Okay, suckers, you've taken your best shot. Now it's my turn. And this really, I mean, this goes on. It cements Wolverine as being the main character. And Jean Grey Phoenix is for a while, but when Jean Grey / Phoenix dies, Wolverine he's the big guy. He's the big gun. Or Claw. And, man. He slashes into these 3 thugs. And third guy, he's like, don't move, don't move, fella. Another burn panel, burned into my memory. He's scared, can't say I blame him either. Let's see if I can't make him feel worse. Hey, bub, I know what you're thinking. He's hurt, and he's 5 meters away from me, and I got a full clip of ammo in my rifle. Question is, can I kill Wolverine before he can reach me and shish kebab me with those freaky claws of his? Well, bub, Wolverine is virtually unkillable. Wolverine claws are adamantium, the strongest metal, capable of slicing through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, and 5 meters of floor distance. It doesn't matter much to me. Shoot, I was hoping you'd go for it. Wow, wow. I wish I could be more profound than saying wow. Okay, whoop. Sneaking around, just got to his temple, but not a problem. And here's a weird thing though. He gets clobbered by a bunch of regular guys, and he's thinking, I better cool with the claws. They might be inner circle mercenaries, or they might be club employees, or rent-a-cops, or whatever. But they wouldn't take him down. They would have to be, some kind of robots. And here comes Wolverine, and to save the day again. So Leland tries the thing with the increased mass, but Wolverine's on top of him. And what happens next with him? We have no idea. So that's beautiful. It's so neat seeing the evolution of Wolverine we got to stop meeting like this. He goes, cripes, he's right. He startled me. I was on guard, everything, expecting trouble, and he crept on me without me noticing. And then you got Phoenix going on. Magnificent stuff. That's about it. Hey, man, I managed to keep it under an hour. So, hooray. I hope you enjoyed this. I probably made a lot of mistakes in my commentary. And if you experienced this when the book was coming out, let me know how mind-blowing it was for you as it was for me, or if you're coming into this late and you read these in reprints later on after you had read the 80s era of Chris Claremont. Let me know your first experience with how you thought Wolverine, or by the time you started getting comics, Wolverine was everywhere. It was so ridiculous, especially during the boom years of the early 90s. Wolverine was in tons of one-shots, graphic novels, other stuff, and it was some of it was great, some of it was crap, and it just in fact, there are probably some really good books that had Wolverine in them that I didn't pick up. There was a Wolverine Nick Fury graphic novel by Howard Chaykin and Archie Goodwin, and I ignored it because at that time so much static of Wolverine. Like, Wolverine was everywhere, and I was just put off by Wolverine for a while there. And but I don't know if they do much with him now. He's kind of, I don't know if he's as popular. I think the movie will make him much more popular, like he back to his proper status of being a top character at Marvel. That's it. Okay, now I'm just repeating myself. I hope you enjoyed this, and I thank you for putting up with my nasal hang-ups. Just these allergies, I tell you, they just kill you. I get them year-round, so that's it, everybody. Thank you for enjoying this, and please like and share if you do, and subscribe, please, if you haven't already. Hit the bell for notifications, and share everything you got. I mean, I love it. I'm a fanboy to the day I die, and hopefully that's a long way away. So, that's it. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.